Hello everyone, this is Dr. Taranella. Today we're going to share with you some information about nutritional ketosis. This will be the first in a multi-part video tutorial, I guess you could say, or just sharing some information about ketogenic diet. I have personally done the ketogenic diet. I want to kind of share some information that I've discovered through doing this, and as well as go into some of the research and some of the clinical or health implications for this diet. So, further ado, we will begin here. So, so intro to nutritional ketosis. So, what is it? There's basically some people get worried, not as much these days, but definitely in the past, about effects on the kidneys, and is it bad for you? So a few things to just distinguish before getting into some of the details of what the uses are, and that is nutritional ketosis versus diabetic ketoacidosis. So the latter is a more severe condition that can lead to problems, and it's a matter of degree of ketones that are in your body. So the thing that's being measured here is beta hydroxybutyrate, and you can see by the different numbers here, mild, moderate, and problematic. These are the different levels of beta hydroxybutyrate. So mild nutritional ketosis is usually around 0.3 up to 1 millimolar of beta hydroxybutyrate, and most people will start to feel the benefits around 0.5 millimolars. For whatever reason, of course there's, dietary things that affect this, but some people seem to generate more ketones while others have more difficulty, even with, the same macronutrient profile. But anyways, even moderate could be considered up to 10 millimolar. Technically, once you get around 20 millimolar, that's more diabetic ketoacidosis, and the problem, there are multiple problems from that, but it's basically an imbalance in the pH in your body, and so you can get kidney failure and multiple other problems from ketoacidosis. But at mild beta hydroxybutyrate levels, and even moderate, there's no problems. In fact, as we'll get into, there's potentially a lot of benefits to it. So let's look at that. So here's some of the benefits: seizure control, mood stabilization, weight loss, controlling inflammation, anti-inflammatory, sugar and food cravings, increased energy. It's used to theoretically prevent cancer, but as a more therapeutic application when people actually have cancer, in conjunction with chemo or otherwise other treatments. Ketogenic diet can be very useful. It's used for acne, diabetes, hyperlipidemia. With the acne, PCOS comes to mind too. So lots of applications for this diet. So what I'm going to do is go into some of the research and details of some of these today, but I also listed this review article. It's fairly recent, I think 2013-14. Goes into a lot of the research published clinical the clinical trials that are out there, but also it's all peer-reviewed research. So okay, seizures and mood. So seizures and mood kind of go together, because seizures have a similar effect on the central nervous system as anxiety disorders and um, situations where you're upregulated in your excitability. So mania comes to mind. So bipolar disorders or mania or hypomania, and then mania is basically a heightened sense of self. So um, to the point where people have trouble sleeping, will be up gambling and can get into some dangerous situations. Um, that can be viewed, in some scenarios as it's a continuation of anxiety, since you're not sleeping, and the heightened sense of self is not necessarily anxiety, but along with that oftentimes comes a difficulty falling asleep and up thinking about things, and so um, and so seizures, both of those are an upregulation in the central nervous system activity, and we know this because we use seizure medications as mood stabilizers. The ketogenic diet has been used for intractable seizures for many, many years, going back to probably 30 or 40 years, if not, potentially even much longer, but started being used in a clinical setting around, I think, in the 70s. Didn't actually look that up, but it's been used for quite a while, with a lot of success too. So initially was found to be used for children that had intractable seizures, and they would fast the patients, and then there was a correlation with the level of ketones and seizure control, and then basically a diet was adapted to implement more regimented program or diet, so that they weren't becoming well too devoid of macronutrients. So they developed a diet, and that's where the ketogenic diet kind of originated. And for seizure control, you need much higher level of beta hydroxybutyrate to get into that more stabilized version, the central nervous system more stabilized. But even at more mild levels, I would expect to see some mood stabilization and anxiolytic effects. In fact, I definitely experienced that, and other people have commented that as well. Basically, if you think about it, there's a lot of correlations with anxiety or stress and blood sugar levels. Blood sugar levels typically do track with stress levels. So when your blood sugar goes down, your cortisol goes up, as will your stress levels. So hopefully that makes sense. So I'm going to move on to weight loss. Mainly with weight loss, first law of thermodynamics, typically, we say energy can't be created or destroyed, and that's, mainly true. There are some suggestions that possibly you could eat 1,000 calories or we'll say 3,000 calories on a ketogenic diet, and then 3,000 calories on a standard diet, and you would lose weight on the ketogenic diet. That's been, there's some conflicting research on that, but the way I see it, that may be there, it may not be, but more beneficial is the appetite suppressant effect if you're trying to lose weight. If you're not trying to lose weight, then that might not help. You just got to make sure you're eating enough. But it doesn't suppress your appetite to the point where you feel like you don't want to eat. It's just sort of like that need or chronic psychological burden of, oh, it's time to eat, is not there anymore. Um, and this is a research article basically supporting that idea. And I've definitely experienced that. I had several patients do this and have the same effect. So I don't doubt that that works. So yeah, that's a really good application for it. Anti-inflammatory. So there's several mechanisms of how it may be helping with inflammation. Basically, this second one here, the mTOR pathway, is probably the most notable. And mTOR is basically a pathway that turns on and off during periods of feast or famine and excess food consumption or lack of it. And when you are in a more ketogenic state, you are basically simulating a famine type state, which is more of an the way your body sees it, it kind of downregulates inflammatory reactions. And one way that that makes sense to me is through the reactive oxygen species. So we do know that when you're using more, when you're basically the energy part of our bodies are called the mitochondria, and when you're whatever macronutrient source you're using, whether it's carbohydrates, fats, or protein, those run through the mitochondria to be turned into energy. And you get different amounts of energy for each macronutrient. But if we use fats for the source of fuel, you're going to get much less oxidative stress to the cell. And these are called reactive oxygen species. So every time you run, like a gram of fat through the Krebs cycle and then through the mitochondria, you're getting a certain number of basically ATP units from that. And when you're doing it with fats or ketones, you're getting much less reactive oxygen species, because every time we run those grams of fat or grams of carbohydrates through the Krebs cycle, they part of the way that they produce the energy or the calories or ATP, however you want to look at it, it requires oxygen, and oxygen creates free radicals, and that's why they're called reactive oxygen species. So with the fat or ketones, you get much less of those reactive oxygen species, and these are basically free radicals, is a more simplistic way to look at it. So every time we create energy, we get free radicals, and when you use fats and ketones, you get less of those free radicals produced, and potentially more energy, but that part is debatable, as I mentioned in the last one. So that's a little, you can do some research too. These are PubMed articles you can find, and lots of research still being done and needs to be done on this to figure these things out, but it's pretty compelling. So okay, so this is kind of what we just talked about. Thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics says energy can't be created or destroyed. When you get energy in, you get a certain amount of energy out. So the energy in would be the food we consume, and the energy out is the energetic output, or what work you can do. And there's some evidence to suggest that you actually get more energy out when you're using more of a ketogenic diet, so higher fats, and that could be related to could be related to just the efficiency of the mitochondria. We're not exactly sure, but I've certainly experienced with workouts a little bit more efficiency, or seemingly. I haven't actually measured it, but seem to be a little bit more efficient in terms of what I can do, like for long distance exercise. I've had some patients try using exogenous ketones during marathons and Ironmans, and they have, and again, you don't have a double-blinded study here, but it seems like their results are much greater than what they expected in terms of times and endurance and things like that. So, so there's another application. Cancer, we kind of talked about this, so just a little bit more detail. So basically, cancer cells, there's a high energy demand, and with that high energy demand, basically their cells are very metabolically active when they have cancer, and so they're creating networks of blood vessels and things to recruit more glucose and energy. But the cancer cells, cannot run energy through fat. Basically, they need glucose, and because they require so much energy, when they don't have it, they actually will die. And so it's a kind of another layer of treatment to get your body more into a ketogenic state. You could do like fasting and things like that, but the long-term viability of that is not nearly as good, because for multiple reasons, which I'm not going to get into all those details, but basically as a adjunct to whatever cancer treatment you're doing, whether it's chemo, radiation, or something in the alternative world, using a ketogenic diet to enhance the effects of those makes a lot of sense, because cancers run off of glucose almost exclusively. There may be some exceptions to that, but almost all of them do. So in the next video, I'm going to discuss macronutrient profiles, different macronutrient profiles, and what those are, and what you need to do. And I'll go through some calculations to basically help structure your diet for ketosis. So I'll show you the tools and things that I use for getting patients into nutritional ketosis. Thank you. We'll see you next time.